Good evening, everyone. This is Mark O'Malley here with the winter weather outlook and discussion for December 5th, 2020, recorded around 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Mainly focusing tonight on the northeastern snowstorm, which you can see winding up across portions of the Northeast. This is coming from the Boston, Massachusetts radar site. We can see that over the day today, we've been talking. If you watched our earlier video update, we were talking about an intense area of banding of snowfall, of heavy snow that was occurring across this corridor, mainly staying north of Boston. Well, we have started to see that now transition further south. We've started to see snowfall coming into the Boston metro. The radar site is picking up snow, and just a site there closer to Boston is actually reporting to the Boston radar site. Indeed reporting an area of a light snow with a temperature of 36 degrees. If we get just a bit further north towards West Concord, we drop that into 35. And then further northward, we get it up near Manchester up to about 35, etc. That is the ASOS reporting site, so they might be a little bit off, give or take a couple of degrees, but generally these are kind of the temperatures around the area. And again, we've seen this intense band of snow being set up across this area. Now, keep in mind here, obviously, any of the higher train areas located in here are going to get a bunch of snowfall. We can actually see that there's been heavy wet snow, upwards of 9.1 inches near York, Maine. So that's kind of right on the border there, and this definitely is that heavy wet snow type. You can see that we've also had near hurricane force winds, a 65-mile-per-hour wind was there. This was a non thunderstorm wind gust, and sustained winds at this time were roughly at about 39 gusts to 50. That site actually has stopped reporting since then, so I wonder potentially if maybe something happened there. But other than that, you can actually see the area of low pressure kind of winding up across the north. And if we actually jump up here closer in towards Maine, this is Portland, Maine. What you'll notice is that there is a widespread swath of very heavy snowfall setting up across the north right now. This is encompassing mainly all of Maine at this point, but the transition zone is kind of right near Portland, Maine. There's a very sharp transition gradient, and this is because the open warm sectors out here. I mean, I actually see temperatures in this general vicinity are in the upper to mid 30s. And actually, over here, temperatures are in the 50s. Out across near Newfoundland and the Canadian Maritimes, temperatures are still here closer to the coast are about 50 degrees. And this is because that low is out over here, so there's a ton of warm sector out across this region, and you can actually see the way that the snow is coming in. This is kind of resembling almost like a hurricane. We get this area of low pressure, we get the precipitation shield, and you get the open warm sector out here, and then the wrapping effect back around here. So definitely resembles a hurricane, and there is some hurricane force wind that is in there, but there is obviously this is a non-tropical area of low pressure at this time. So what's going on here? We could see that we do have winter storm warnings in effect again for most of the region. All of Maine is included in basically almost all of Maine is included in a winter storm warning at this point. Portions of Vermont, New York, Boston, and hurricane force wind gust warnings are in effect for portions of the northern coast there over towards Massachusetts and Maine, because again, these are producing upwards of near hurricane force conditions. I think these are actually storm warnings, but they would serve basically for much of the same. There's even a flash flood watch issued for parts of northern Maine, and that's because what we're expecting, if we go back here to the actual precipitation, that we're not really expecting a lot of snowfall across this region here. That's where the flash flood watch is in effect. More so because this low is expected to kind of move something like this. It's going to keep this in the open warm sector for quite some time, drawing in a lot of moisture off the Atlantic. And this is going to lead towards a lot of rainfall, upwards of potentially even closer to 3 to 5 inches of rain. And then back here in the cold sector where all the snowfall is, you could see upwards of 10, 15 inches, maybe even 20 inches of snow in some of the higher locations. We can actually see a wind here being reported with a gust closer towards 74 miles per hour up there. Now, whether or not that's an actual wind gust or not remains to be seen. It's a little bit sporadic, and it does not seem to be representative because all the other gusts here are about a 25, but that does show that there could be some pretty high wind in that general vicinity. So if we look here at the mesoanalysis here, we can actually see that we've got a pressure of 982, a surface pressure of about 982 millibars, moving generally off towards kind of the northeast like that. Again, in the cold sector here, you've got a lot of snow. And if we actually look here at the surface wet bulb temperature, you'll notice that where all the snow currently is, it's a little bit hard to see, but generally where all the heavier snow is going to be right in this region. You can kind of see these blue dash lines. This is basically the freezing line, and all your heavy snow is on the back side of this over here. And generally over across here, this is either heavy wet snow or a mix of rain and snow or plain rain. So that is kind of the situation there. Now, I talked about earlier how there was a precipitation field that was across this area, mainly like across portions like Boston. If we actually jump back there to the Boston radar site, we can actually see here that, again, there was kind of a precipitation shield that was much larger in scope across portions of that area. And what we've generally seen now is that the precipitation field has eroded. So, is there any reason why? Yes, there actually is. We can see here, this is closer towards the Boston rate. This is closer to Boston here. And what you'll notice is that down at the surface, we have a very good moisture plume right here. We have a very tight moisture gradient, and this is suggesting that we have not only a lapse rate, but we have moisture in the first 0 to like 3 kilometers. But if we go above 3 kilometers, you'll start to notice how this really dries out. This really goes well out here into almost minus 30 dew points, which obviously is not going to support for any precipitation. So you're getting a lot of mid-level dry air, and that has prompted a lot of kind of dry adiabatic, kind of dry adiabats there at kind of the surface. And we've seen some of this mid-level dry air being transported down and not only helping to cause stronger wind gusts, but it's also drying out a column in the atmosphere. So that precipitation ends up kind of evaporating, maybe down here at the surface it tries to kind of get going. So a lot of what you're going to see is generally within the first 0 to 3 kilometers, but up above that, you've got a pretty dry air mass. So I would not expect to see cloud tops in this region that are indeed very high at all, because there's a lack of moisture very high up in the atmosphere. Now, if we go further north, let's just say closer towards Maine, you'll actually see that these, mind the photograph here, but you'll actually notice that there indeed is a lot of moisture, even all the way up through about 9 kilometers, and even above that through 13 kilometers, all the way up there to the top of the tropopause and beyond. There is a lot of moisture, especially through the first about 39,000 feet. You've got a lot of moisture in that environment. You're going to have a lot more snow that does fall, and a lot more heavier snow at that. And if we go up towards northern Maine, much of the same story. Again, generally a very moist profile. So this would be one that is going to tend to support for more intense snow, which is what we're definitely seeing. Now, again, the Boston region, etc., and even out here towards, parts of the Cape here, there will be some snow flurries that end up mixing in, especially like, northern Nantucket and northward. You're going to start to see snow that begins to mix in within the next several hours because the slow is now moving out of here. But again, on the back side of this, there's a lot of mid-level dry air back here. and a lot of shallow convection out here. This is all shallow convection. That's all this is. And it's not going to take much for this mid-level dry air to kind of get wrapped around and potentially cut off a lot of convective development across this region. So while there probably will be some snow flurries, I would not expect a fairly significant snowstorm event east of Boston. Even in Boston itself, you could still get, maybe, anywhere from, 2 to 4 inches of snow, but you're probably not going to see anywhere near what northern Maine could see upwards of 20 inches in spots. So, and then further south in Nantucket, you're not going to see snow at all. If you're out here, on the area there, Long Island, you're definitely just not going to have any snowfall really because the precipitation is not going to be able to really extend far south than that as the storm begins to move generally towards the north. So kind of all is said and done at that point. All right. With that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, make sure to share it with friends, like it, comment, everything like that. If you guys do want to see more of these kind of analysis, these quick little analysis videos on winter weather, be sure to comment down below if you guys want to see that. With that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, everyone. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley. I'll talk to you guys again some more tomorrow.